Okay, so today is, in the Chinese tradition, Vesak, which is the anniversary of the Buddha's birth, enlightenment, and passing away. According to the Tibetan calendar, because the Chinese and Tibetan calendars don't always agree, Vesak is going to be next full moon. Okay, but in any case, when we think of the Buddha's enlightenment, you know, we think, well, why did the Buddha put so much energy into spiritual practice? You know, why do that? What's the purpose of it? And his end purpose was to be of the greatest benefit to himself and to other living beings. Yeah. Now, ordinarily in the world, we think benefit means that you're out working directly with people, you know, giving them food, giving them clothing, giving them shelter, you know, helping them with their immediate problems and so on. But the Buddha had a much bigger vision, and he saw that those immediate problems of poverty, warfare, internal conflict, depression, and so on, actually came from, not from external conditions solely, but primarily from internal conditions. You know, our ignorance, attachment, and anger, and that the attachment, the anger were rooted in the ignorance. And so the idea being that if we can cut the continuum of ignorance, then all the anger, jealousy, other negative emotions get cut, then the harmful actions that we do out of those destructive emotions cease. And then the suffering that results from those harmful actions also cease. And they cease not just temporarily, but they cease once and for all in such a way that they can never return again. Okay? And so, you know, we may help somebody by giving them food or clothing or something like that, which is definitely good and definitely we should do. But it's not going to remedy their problems of hunger and poverty altogether. Okay? Because on a spiritual level, hunger and poverty are due to previous actions that we've done, in particular stealing, being selfish, being miserly and stingy. And so if we want to really cut the continuum of hunger and poverty, then we have to cut the mental factors that support stealing and cheating and things like that. And we have to stop the you know, ignorance that supports those defiled mental factors. And we have to do it in ourselves first before we, you know, can really be a good example for other people. Otherwise, it's like going to be like the blind leading the blind. Okay, so that's why the Buddha spent so much time on internal spiritual practice, to purify his own mind and attain states whereby, you know, his own mind and motivation were pure. And he had genuine, you know, experience of the path himself. And then he could describe it to others. And by practicing, others would be able to free themselves completely from poverty, warfare, depression, and so on, not just temporarily. Okay? So in spirituality, we're helping people, but it's a different level of emphasis of help. You know, because we're aiming at the root causes, you know. That doesn't mean we ignore the structural inequalities in a society. You know, we take action as much as we can against those. We doesn't mean we ignore people's immediate suffering, definitely. You know, if we're trying to cultivate compassion, we try and extend ourselves towards people's immediate suffering. But what it means is that our emphasis is on cutting the root of the suffering altogether, not just putting band-aids on. Okay? So this is what lies behind all the effort that the Buddha put into the path, which is what we are celebrating today when we think of his enlightenment, or his awakening. Okay.